Hello and welcome to Cinema Crusaders, that show where we look at films that are at least 10 years old or older, and then we see how well they hold up, whether they're still enjoyable now, whether, time has changed their impact at all, and all of those things. And for today, we are looking at 1989's The Abyss. Because honestly, as much as I love James Cameron, this is like one of the few movies from his golden era that I had not seen. So I kind of wanted to actually see it for myself and kind of see where does it stand, compared to all the other movies that he made during that period.
Or another movie, a lot like it, called Leviathan.
Yeah. And to help me along, I brought on our Cameron expert, Mike Dudley, who was the only person I know who was finished like watching Avatar because I couldn't do it. So welcome. And what are your thoughts on The Abyss?
I like it. I think it is very much a product of its time. During the Cold War, there were a lot of stories about how the senselessness of the World War III we were all threatening and all that kind of stuff, and just the apathy it created in the people that had to live in a world where at any moment we could all die. It's reflected in a lot of movies, and this movie is no different. But I will note, though, that this is a slightly different approach in that the aliens are not necessarily opposed to violence. It seems like they're opposed to non-military targets as being attacked, because they themselves the movie starts out with them attacking a military target.
Okay. Hold that thought. We'll get more into that. My personal thoughts of like watching this movie was like I had avoided it for a while. I don't know why exactly I did it. I guess it was just because the whole underwater aspect of it really kind of wasn't speaking to me at the time when I first encountered it. Over time, that's changed. Now I'm just kind of seeing, because especially since James Cameron is an expert on this, he is an actual deep sea diver, and he has done all of these things. That brings him a certain level of authenticity to it that you wouldn't get from most directors. And it kind of made me curious as well. So I think watching this movie, I can definitely see the appeal to it, but it is definitely a movie that heightens Cold War tensions. It was done at the very end of the Cold War. And so it's just one of those things where, yeah, it's only going to matter during those moments where it'll be relevant. I'm kind of afraid that we're starting to lean back that way now, but I would like to be wrong on that.
I don't know why you're only kind of afraid, and I think we're definitely going towards that now.
Well, fair point. So yeah, so this is one of those times when yes, the Cold War does matter, and learning from it does matter, and
sure,
yeah, maybe Cameron still has things to say about it that are important.
Absolutely.
All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and kind of start looking into the writing itself. And I will say, like, this was one of those movies where it took me a while to figure out who everybody was. But you knew who mattered from the beginning, and that's mainly Bud and Lindsay, as well as the Michael Biehn character, who you mainly remember because he's Michael Biehn. But yeah, Coffee, who is a pretty important character here. Yeah, I lost my connection with my camera. Yeah, we'll make it work.
On the Michael Biehn note, I was impressed that I don't know how to describe this. There isn't so much that is totally different necessarily in how he delivers a line or necessarily always his body language, but he's playing a villain in this, and you could, there is just a different look in his eyes. You can tell he carries a different spirit with him, that there is this hardness to it.
Yep. That's definitely true. And the thing is, it's like if you look at him compared to Dwayne Hicks, I mean, he's a very different character, and you can tell. Like, and as well as with John Connor, like, or John Connor's father, Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Like they're all soldiers, but he plays them all differently. You get one honored survivor. You get another one who is basically like a leader who's just kind of like, taking charge in a difficult situation, and he's doing what he has to. And then you have this guy who doesn't start off a bad guy, but it's more that the pressure induced psychosis.
Yeah.
And he just goes off the deep end, literally.
Yeah, I think one, he was I think he kind of started off in like an entirely weird state with he's going down to a civilian crew who is being borrowed to do a mission, and he's treating them like they're soldiers right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an order, you're going to follow it, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And when a soldier like that tells you something like that, you assume that threat is coming with a gun on the other end of it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Which it does.
Yeah. So, I mean, he may have gone crazy, but he started off completely on the wrong foot. And even when Lindsay was trying to remind him, she was saying about, well, there's no way to tell who's going to get the sickness. And he's like, they passed, just completely negating the fact that she just negated everything he just said.
Yeah. And it's like he doesn't make either he makes the connection and doesn't admit it, or he doesn't make the connection and with his own shakes. And it's just like, I will say there probably was something already wrong with him, like going down, but I don't think he would have been a complete crack up if not for the bends that, and all of that.
That's for sure. But I think ultimately things could have gone different if there wasn't a pride issue going on there. I think that when he saw his hand shaking, he was like, I'm not going to admit that I can't handle this. I'm not going to admit that I'm not in control.
Yeah, he's overcompensating, and you can kind of tell. And I think a lot of that is still continuing, where he just doesn't want to admit to anybody that, he's even insane at that point. I mean, even if he wants to acknowledge it at that point, even to himself, maybe.
Yeah, and Bean did a good job of that, particularly in the scenes where you can see he's playing out where thoughts like a million thoughts are going through his head at once, and he's trying to pick apart like little bits of logic from it and everything. And he played that really, really well.
I've kind of noticed that Bean tends to act really well with his eyes. And like you can definitely tell in this movie, for example, that he starts getting more and more wild-eyed, and just like the way he looks at things and the way he positions his eyes is very deliberate, which is an interesting take. Right. And if you contrast that with like Kyle Reese, where his eyes are very haunted, and you can just sort of tell this is a guy who's seen way too much.
That's what I mean about that. He just carries a different spirit. You can see it in his presence. You can see it in his eyes. Like it's not it. Some things may be similar in like how he may deliver a line or something along those lines. But it's like he embodies a different person. I don't know how else to describe it, because I mean a lot of actors, you could see them, they do the same type of things. They have the same type of look in their eyes or their face when they do they do the same type of thing with a character. And Bean is different. You can feel it.
Yeah. I mean, and it just amazes me why that James Cameron seems to be the only one who's made really effective use of Michael Biehn. A lot of the other times you really don't see him that much. I mean, I think the one exception is like Tombstone. And honestly, even in Tombstone, it's more like basically I got out-beamed by Val Kilmer.
Well,
because he was always, when he talks about Val Kilmer in that movie, it's like, yeah, that wasn't I didn't know Val Kilmer. I only met Doc Holliday.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
For sure.
Yeah, and I will say also, like, the main love interest and the main, or shall I say, the main couple of this movie, Bud and Lindsay. I really thought that that was really kind of well established, even though we don't really get a whole lot of background on their relationship. I just kind of felt like the way it's written and the way the actors show it is so good that you don't really question it. That these two were married and they have this very contentious relationship where you see why they fell apart, but also what brings them back together.
Yeah. Well, I have been in one or two relationships where we
Mm-hmm.
probably should not have stayed together, and we did anyway. And so
Yeah.
I kind of get that kind of that
Mm-hmm.
agitated just presence being in the room between you, where it's just it they know, each person knows exactly what to say to the other person and how to say it to hurt them the most, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And they did
And
that
yeah.
dynamic. Yeah.
And Cameron, I will say, knows that dynamic better than most. Like some of the high profile relationships he's been in, and the way they didn't work out, I can see where he's writing from experience.
Right, right.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, and I had to wonder more than once. It's like, is this what Gillian Heard was like?
I actually, what one of my I think my favorite line in the whole movie is, "God, I hate that bitch." And the guy goes, "Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you shouldn't have married her then, huh?"
yeah, yeah.
That was just perfect.
That is the one thing that I really kind of liked about it, and this was something that was also brought on with Aliens, was how this group of people seemed like a real crew who had been together for a while before the SEALs showed up and kind of made a mess of the dynamic.
That's them singing that country song together
Yeah,
really brought that together, that closeness. It was like almost like sitting around a
yeah.
campfire kind of a thing. It was good stuff.
It was
Yeah.
not in the theatrical cut, and it was in the special edition. And I'm like, another point where I was just like, yeah, this should not have been cut out,
Right.
because you really do need that to show that these guys are a well-oiled unit. And when you start losing a good chunk of them, then actually starts feeling like a loss, because otherwise you really don't get to know any of them individually long enough to really feel it. But you feel it because you feel the chemistry they all have together. And if you
Right.
don't get that those moments, you lose that. And I think Cameron knew that.
Uh-huh. Exactly. This might be a good time to talk about our studio involvement thing there. Um,
Sure.
it, in my personal opinion, granted, I am a James Cameron fanboy, so take this with a grain of salt, I guess. But um, every single one of James Cameron's special edition movies are better than the theatrical cut.
Mhm.
It is always stuff that the studio decided, you know what, we need to take this stuff out for the sake of running time, or the sake of nobody actually cares about these characters. You know why? Because you're not giving them the opportunity to get to know them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I've noticed that too, man, especially with Aliens. Like, why did you cut half of this stuff out?
uh-huh.
Like, none of that stuff makes any sense. And when I've been looking at the comparisons with what I've seen of the theatrical cut and with the special edition, there's no question the special edition is better. And
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
absolutely not at all.
no doubt at all. I don't. I really think I, it is my opinion that if you want any weight to what your characters are going through at all, we have to get to know them.
Mhm.
We have to have an emotional investment in them if you want an emotional response from us. And cutting all
Mhm.
this stuff from the movie and the theatrical cut just guts that.
Yeah, completely. I mean, especially when they start dying, and the reaction without that is, okay, that happened.
Right?
Move on. And then because your investment at that point is going to be in Bud, it's going to be in Lindsay.
Mhm.
Maybe one or two of the other characters that are still around. Maybe the rat. um,
Oh, speaking of the rat,
yeah.
okay. Um, I take the trust an animal puts in me very seriously. I am not going to violate that trust at all. If you grab
No.
my rat from me and shove it in water, I don't care if it can breathe. You're going to be losing some teeth.
I think most people would, because it's like, this is not just, it's not a rat. It's this poor dude's family. What are you
Right?
doing?
That just
Although I did find out that is actually a real thing.
it is.
It is a real process. You know, there are liquids that are highly concentrated in oxygen, and you can breathe them. Yeah.
But just imagine that rat's thought process about how much it trusts Hippie now.
Yeah.
You just allowed that to happen to me.
You drowned me, dude. And I just kind of love that the rat just like stays on his shoulder like the rest of the time. He doesn't seem to really care. that is a really deep bond that dude has with his rat.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I kind of get that, because it's like, if you're spending like months at a time, you know, in a deep in deep water and away from like most people, and all of you got is like this bunch of rough tough guys, you know, and one night like aboard the ship, you know, it's like you really are going to hold on to who you have, and if all you have is a rat, you know what, you know, I get that.
That, and without a pet, you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah. That's all you got. Like you deal with the isolation somehow. And that's, you know, and that was kind of his way of doing it. It was just a fun, quirky way of showing that, which I kind of appreciated.
It was, but every time I watch that scene, I get mad.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as, you know, the scene with the knife in Aliens, where you know, where they're just doing
that an improvised scene, by the way. And
it worked there. But, you know, I will say this was kind of like the equivalent of that, and also I imagine it was probably foreshadowing as well. So
absolutely, you had to have, for the story. I totally get it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it as a story element. I'm just saying, as a pet owner, that makes me mad to watch.
Yeah, and from what I understand, like, James Cameron like really kind of pushed the envelope in like where what he was asking of his crew and of his cast, you know, to get the movie made, to the point where nobody even wanted to talk about it afterwards.
Actually, I've heard that response from several people that have worked with Cameron, where they were like, you know what, the movie was good, but I didn't enjoy the working experience. I don't think I want to do it again. Some people still go back, but I find it ironic, actually, that my two favorite directors are infamous for being difficult to work with. Ridley Scott, James Cameron.
Yeah. Course, and Cameron had that infamous incident on Aliens as well, where the British crew was ready to walk out on him because they just had a complete culture clash.
Oh, let's not forget the T card incident.
Yeah, it took Sigourney Weaver to make sure that movie was made. Otherwise, they would have walked out.
Right.
So yeah.
You know, one of the things I like about Cameron, and one of the things I appreciate about him as a director, is that he started from the bottom. He has done almost every job that there is to do in filmmaking at one point or another. So he knows
for Roger
every
Corman
facet
years,
of it. Yeah. Every facet of making a film. He's not only familiar with it, he's done it himself.
Yeah, Battle Beyond the Stars, I think, was like the one that he was kind of well known for, doing a lot of the behind the scenes work that he did.
Right.
We'll have to go and watch that at one point. Maybe we'll even talk about that. We'll get into that. And yeah, what are your thoughts on the aliens?
On the aliens,
the NTIs, as they're called.
I think I'm not quite sure I get the physiology at all. There seems to be not just a control of water, but a control of light. And so I'm not quite sure how that works. I will
Yeah,
say,
I will say there probably is at least a certain amount of bioluminescence, but that's about as far as I can kind of go with that.
right, but there seemed it wasn't just in their bodies. It was in the it seemed like the same thing that was in their bodies was in their technology.
Hmm.
Like it was like they were one and the same.
Yeah, I don't know. They really never explain a whole lot about them other than, they're the giant lingering force that is casting judgment on humanity. And that they kind of emotionally and spiritually had evolved, but saw that humanity hadn't, and they were just kind of ready to just flood everybody.
Well, I would like to point out that they are. We talked a little bit about this before the episode about how they are not necessarily anti-violence,
Hmm.
but rather it seems to be non-military target violence.
Hmm.
Like they open up the movie attacking the aliens attacking a military target. They bring the water clear up to the shore, about ready to attack civilians and stop.
Yeah,
Yes, they wanted to say we could do this and we're not.
we're
But
not. Yeah,
also, I don't think they were willing to actually take that life.
yeah. I think they were trying not to. I think they were really trying to focus on the real problem, which is the nuclear warheads.
Right?
I mean, because they show you more over and over again that a lot of this is about nuclear annihilation and wanting to prevent that.
Right? It's not so much war in general that they seemed about. They were showing shots of like Hiroshima and stuff where you have
Hmm. Yeah.
non-military targets where civilians are dying. That seemed to be particularly bad. Like war in itself is not necessarily so bad. We have to come and judge you, but the extent that you guys are carrying it out is the
Hmm.
issue that they had, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you blow each other away conventionally, we don't care. But when you start irradiating the entire planet and making it uninhabitable, that's kind of where we draw the line.
That I didn't actually think about it from that perspective. It could be how am I, what pollution's the word that's coming to me, but it could be something about the wanting to save the planet itself too. And I
Hmm.
hadn't
Yeah,
considered that. I was more thinking about the people.
yeah. I think Cameron probably would consider it to be more about the planet because a lot of the time, a lot of his themes tend to be environmental, particularly movies like this and Avatar.
I wouldn't say a lot. I would say this movie and Avatar, but yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. There is an environmental theme going there. But I would also like to point out that there is a movie called Leviathan that
Hmm.
it actually has a very similar idea going, except instead of these somewhat benevolent creatures from another planet, we end up with alien monsters instead
Hmm.
in the submarine and whatnot. But the same kind of idea going on there.
Well, I mean, that kind of gets into something that I think that you know pretty well, which is horror, and that is that you can get some pretty a lot of horror is fear of the unknown, and
Mhm.
when you start getting into places like the deep sea,
Right?
where not many people have been, and it's very hard to survive down there, that is the perfect recipe for horror.
It is. It is. I mean, think about this. We have been searching the oceans for a really long time now, and
Hmm.
there are still things, particularly on the ocean depths, we're still discovering.
Yeah.
I mean that right there provides a sense of wonder of what could be there.
Hmm. Yeah, and thinking about Lovecraftian monsters, Cthulhu, Dagon, the deep ones, all of that. It's making perfect use of that kind of thing. We don't know what's down there and what could come up, and it just happens that in the particular case of this one, it's being subverted a little bit. They're not the monsters we are.
Right? Right? I will also I have this theory I hadn't thought about until watching this again recently. When Bud is dropping down to disarm the nuke,
Hmm.
he goes way, way below what even a full-on hardened armored submarine could do without just completely crunching in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is that the aliens knew he was coming down all along and actually did something about the water pressure around him. Otherwise, I don't see any way, because Cameron full-on shows one of those submersibles crunching under way less depth. So I mean, I don't know how else to
he had to. He had to have done. Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing with that. There's no way that he wouldn't have done the calculations on that.
No.
No, I think it's very, very probable that the aliens did some kind of hydrokinetic thing to protect him. That's very likely.
Yeah, because I mean, he would have just. I mean, there was nothing armored about his suit. I mean, it was like a material. I'm surprised he even at that. I'm surprised there was even a suit like that built to drop down. You know what I mean? Like, how does that protect your body from the pressure at all?
It doesn't. Yeah, and then there were like a couple of times when he got out of the thing and just was swimming like pretty much on his own in deep water, and nothing happened. And it's just like, it had to have been the aliens. I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right, let's kind of looking. So that kind of brings me to my next question. As I was watching this, I was kind of seeing like various connections like to Avatar, and I was kind of hoping you would enlighten me on those, because honestly, like I can never remember what happened in that movie. But I always kind of got the sense that there were at least vague things he was working out in this movie, and maybe he kind of refined them in Avatar in a different way. Did you see that, or
this? I didn't pick up on anything like that. I am curious how you're connecting.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, first of all, we are dealing with the case of two different villains that are military minded that go off the deep end. We are dealing with two different alien species that are not necessarily the aggressor. They're more like being victimized by the humans that are coming in there, hitting them with weapons and different kinds of things like that, both environmentally themed.
Okay. I can see maybe some seeds being planted, I suppose, there. In what Cameron was working out. The thing with Avatar is that it's specifically a response to indigenous people having their homes and stuff taken out in the forest, and so that was eliminating their home. So that's not quite along the same lines, but I mean I can see a connection there. I to some degree I could see a seed there that this is something that developed later. I can see that.
Yeah, I think I got that's really kind of more what I'm thinking of. Like he was kind of playing a little bit with ideas and then kind of developed them more later, more with the idea of let's put this on this other planet, and then have the idea of what happens when we encounter an indigenous species, the different ways that first contact with that would go, and ultimately like how we bring our prejudices would make things worse.
I suppose the one real striking difference that stands out to me is that I don't believe the aliens in the abyss are victims. They are at no time, or they're not being invaded. If you come in their space, they'll just shut down your engine. It's not a big deal to them. You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't in danger. They were saving us from killing ourselves. Yeah. So
I think
that's a little different. Yeah.
I think part of it is like the context that Cameron was responding to, because back then he was responding to the Cold War.
Right.
It is definitely a Cold War narrative. Absolutely. Whereas around the time he made Avatar, I want to say we're in a War on Terror era thing. So a lot of him is dealing with that and responding to that.
Well, according to you watch the extras on Avatar, it's specifically about he actually went down. I want to say this was South America, and actually met and stayed with a tribe down there, and learned about how what was happening to their homes and stuff. And it was a direct response to that inspired the story for Avatar.
Yeah,
and that's what happening in Avatar is that is happening to the Na'vi. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that it's enough to think on, but I just find it interesting how Cameron's views sort of evolved. Basically, a lot of experiences, and I will say Cameron is one of those interesting guys that seems to find new things to react to. Like a lot of what he does, I think now is really more kind of in response to a lot of the live things that he does in terms of his exploration and the science work that he does.
Right. I became very impressed with him just learning that he took a one-man submersible down to the Marianas Trench. I mean,
yeah,
that's
he literally went to the abyss.
He actually discovered a couple of types of creatures that we had not seen before while he was down there. I mean, if that's not impressive to have on your resume, I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you're a director on that level, you can do that kind of stuff,
right?
Yeah, and not to mention like the bazillions of ocean documentaries that he's been involved with. Yeah.
By the way, do you know how they did the deep sea look in the abyss?
No, I'm kind of curious about that.
They had this really large tank. It was pretty deep itself, but what they did to make the darkness was they had like 1 billion of these little black beads that floated on top of the water, and they just filled it with that until it was black underneath. And that way, if somebody needed to come up, they could. It wasn't going to stop that at all, and it's totally blocked out the light.
Huh. The effects in this movie, I think, are definitely worth discussing because we're kind of this is before T2, where you went full on with CGI. Right. This was a major landmark in that, particularly like with the water tendril. But everything else that you see, for the most part, is still practical.
Right? Yeah, there was no way to do that water thing practically. I don't see how you could do that and make it actually look like water.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of like the early days of CGI was when CGI was used probably best, because at that point we still had enough limitations where it's like, no, we're not doing the whole movie with CGI. We're just going to do the things that we can't do and that we can afford.
I would also like to point out that Cameron is often at the forefront of filmmaking technology, where he is trying stuff that very few, if any, other people are even working on at that point. And
I think the only person even comparable at that point was George Lucas.
Right?
Yeah. I'd say I would say between the two of them and their respective studios, that's probably where we get a lot of the foundations of CGI and everything else in terms of modern special effects.
I'm drawing a blank on what it was now, but that particularly that water tendril scene was foundational in doing a scene in another movie, and I'm drawing a blank now on what it was. But that technology that they did there paved the way for technology for other shots like it to happen in other movies. That's how innovative that shot was. The thing had not been done before Cameron.
Well, it kind of led to morphing being possible because we saw how the tendril was able to shift its face to look like Ed Harris.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Lindsay too.
Yeah. So I mean, they actually were using the very primitive CGI, that didn't quite look right. They probably weren't able to bring it to the level where it was in T2 at that point. But I would say they got it well enough to make the water tendril look believable.
Actually, I thought it was brilliant how they did that. In particular, because the CGI at the time was not top shelf. Okay, it was not T2 quality at that time. But because you have just a clear liquid making these face shapes, it basically covers up anything that looks fake about the CGI.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. And yeah, so Cameron was being really, really clever with that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of clever stuff that he does as a director, or has like at that, especially during the points where he was working practically.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He really has an eye for what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants to see on camera. These are the same traits I love about Ridley Scott.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
they have the entire film in their mind. They know exactly what it's going to be. They storyboard the whole thing out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will say I really do actually like the physical design of like the jellyfish aliens.
Right.
You can definitely tell that it's practical, that they had actually someone actually built these things.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just unreal enough to make you believe that they're aliens.
Well, again, I think it's Cameron's skill at being able to mask that special effects are being used, even though they're being right in front of your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
like
you have
those lights are artificial, but they don't look it,
right? And because you have that dark background and that slightly hazy water look, because looking through water isn't necessarily very clear, that you get that whole again, it hides the effect that there's actually somebody in a suit there or whatever.
And I love that they chose that shade of purple for the aliens, because it's like it feels at home down in the depths, but at the same time it doesn't feel like something humans would have brought down there. It looks like something that could even exist in nature. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Cameron, knowing what he does about sea life, drew on it deliberately.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Actually, now that I'm noticing it, the color is kind of similar to this bright neon beam we have here below our pictures.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. which I chose to deliberately, because I kind of felt like, we're doing a throwback show. Let's make it look like a retro show. So
right, but you managed to pick the actual color we're talking about on the
exactly. Yeah, it does look like that. You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The very 80s for very
yes.
80s movie.
Yes, the neon. You gotta love the neon.
Yeah, more neon than 80s. Yeah. All right. So I think going from that, are there any performances that we want to get into beyond that we haven't discussed?
Again, I think this partially has to do because I have been in tumultuous relationships before, back when I was not a healthy person. So, but I know that experience of you can really not like someone, but suddenly they're in danger. Their life is being threatened, and suddenly none of that matters. Ed Harris delivered that scene of bringing Lindsay back to life. You felt that shit down to your bones. I mean, you believed that that his whole just going off on her, fight. That just, damn, that was good.
It's like you can definitely tell that he's giving her crap early in the movie, but it's all sexual tension. He absolutely deep down loves her. And and the one thing that I thought was very clever in showing this is he never removed the ring. Like, he was holding on to her. She, even if she kind of seemed like she did, like, oh yeah, I took it off months ago. Well, firstly, I don't know that I believe that, but secondly, it's definitely not true with Ed Harris. Like, he's absolutely like hoping to get her back still, and it's just like he's still like emotionally wired to her, and you see like in moments like that where it really counts. Like, his first thought is of saving Lindsay. It always is of saving Lindsay.
And let's not forget what is her last name? Mastrantino?
Mastrantonio.
Mastrantonio. Her performance when she drowned. I mean, tell me you didn't feel that. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Like, hold on. I don't think this is a good idea. That line really got me. I was like, oh, I know what that feels like.
and this is another thing. I really get the feeling Cameron, being like the perfectionist that he is, had to have drilled a lot of this stuff into the actors. Like all of the stuff that he knows about deep sea diving, and trying to make it all believable. And I get the feeling like there were probably a number of takes for that.
Yeah, I understand he can be harsh in what he does. At the same time, you cannot deny his ability to pull a performance out of an actor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that definitely shows in all those kinds of scenes. I mean, like some of these, and I think that's like the curse of being Cameron. It's like on the one hand, he goes to really ridiculous lengths to do this, but the results speak for themselves, and you get some classic movies out of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, right. All right, and I think we'll kind of go ahead and wrap it up from here, unless you have anything that you want to add about it.
Let me see. No. I think we pretty much covered the basics there. We talked about the good performances, and I think I'm noticing as a writer, I tend to especially as if I'm watching a movie I've seen before, I tend to want to analyze it like, oh, well, this is how he delivers that. And I just found myself not on the level that I was impressed with Aliens on how that was written, but this was well written. The characters were good, the story was good. I liked that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's career high, but I would say that it is definitely very good. And it shows that even Cameron, who is not on the level of T2 and Aliens, can still make a damn good movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I would say that that's definitely true with this film. In terms of how well this movie's hold up, I think this is another one of those situations where the cycle kind of goes around and we're kind of back to the point where what's old is new again. Time is a flat circle, in the words of Matthew McConaughey.
Right.
And so because of that, like there are just times when movies like this matter again. And I would say this definitely is like the perfect time to watch this movie.
Absolutely. This is a Cold War movie without a doubt. But like you're saying, man, I mean, as we talked about with Battlestar Galactica recently, this has happened before. It will happen again.
Eternal recurrence. Yeah. And really, it's not necessarily like history repeats itself. Literally, it's really more that patterns, socialized patterns, tend to come back,
right?
And particularly socio-political patterns. And this is just one of those cases where that's going on, and that makes certain movies that are centered around these kinds of topics, more important. And I would say Cameron's warning, particularly through the aliens at the end of the movie, is definitely worth listening to.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I'm curious, what are you gonna score this bad boy?
I'm kind of leaning 9.5. Actually, it is really, really good, and I think it really holds up. I think it's definitely. I think it definitely belongs in Cameron's, golden era. It is definitely a movie of that period, and even and it's like, is it Aliens? No. Is it T2? No. Is it really damn close? Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'd put it just maybe a notch or two below like Aliens T2 area.
Yeah.
I mean it's not quite at that level, but it's up there.
It gets close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
do you have a number?
I was thinking probably like in the 9.25, but I could go 9.5 on this.
All right, so 9.5 from both. Okay, yeah, I'm willing to go with that. Yeah, I think that sums everything up. It is definitely a Cameron movie. It's definitely an easy one to overlook, because compared to some of the other things that he's done, but it is one of those that is worth checking out, because of what he brings to the table, and particularly because of the actual lived experience that he brings to it, his technical knowledge of the subject matter. I think that all comes across. This is definitely like a classic. So, anything else you want to bring up before it's time to close it down?
No, I think we're good. I had fun watching this movie though. For this, that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, working on Mike's new novel, The Scorn, right now. We're just getting into the phase where we're editing it, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this turns out because, I feel like we were hammering this book into shape. So,
yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along nicely. I think it's going to be.
Right.
I think it's definitely an improvement from my previous book.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way too.
Yeah.
So, but we'll let you guys decide on that. And so until then, go and watch a movie, preferably this one. And we'll go and find you some. We'll go and talk about another movie next time. And peace out.
We're doing sci-fi again next week.
Yes, right? Yes, we are. Okay. Yes, we are. Yes,
all right.
I'll let you tell me after we're done.
All right.
So we'll go ahead and do that. And
thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media.